Well, good morning and welcome to Good Morning Cannabis. I have the lovely Wendy Campbell with me today, who is going to share some very interesting things about what she's up to. But Wendy, maybe tell us a little bit, give us a little bit of your bio. You don't have to start as far back as 10 years old, but if you want to, you can. And how you ended up right now with MJ Unpacked. And let's start there. Give me a little bit of your life story and of why you are so passionate about cannabis would be good too.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, good morning. I appreciate it. Always love chatting with you, Todd, so thank you. Wendy Campbell, I've been a lover of the plant for the better part of 30 years and lived in Southern California when medical became a thing and was certain to get my patient card. And then I have a consumer packaged good background in Fortune 50 and Fortune 500 companies, household names like Shell Oil, Mattel Toys, etc. And I've been a brand in that consumer packaged good world, exhibiting at trade shows and working with retailers and building brands, whether they're Fortune 50, Fortune 500, or a startup for the last 30 years. So when I had the opportunity to get into cannabis was when I moved here to the Washington State in Seattle at Dope Magazine, Dope Media, David Tran, James, and the guys. And that's where I met George Jage as well. George had just left MJ Biz as the president there and came to Seattle to help the guys at Dope. And he hired me, and we just hit it off, talking about brands and consumers and the industry. And he facilitated the acquisition. So I was Wendy at hightimes.com there for a minute. So really a fun entry into the space. And I saw the trajectory of where things were going. And I thought, can I take my everyday professional skills and blend that with my passion, which is the plant, right? And I was able to do that. So I've been working here with George at JH Media, MJ Unpacked, which is our event series. And then we also have MJ Brand Insights, which is our digital publication, both focused on THC, consumer packaged good brands, retailers, verticals, and investors, and bringing them together, both in the event series MJ Unpacked and also the publication. And so every day for the last 2 years, we've been doing this, and I wake up every day knowing that I get to help businesses grow, and it's never a dull moment because cannabis is so much fun, and it's still a big piece of what we do is the community part. And that's how I met you. So just happy to be here and share anything that I can with the viewers.
Great. So let me ask you this. You've been in the cannabis space for a while. How has, or maybe I should ask a different way, do you think that the opinion of the plant has changed over the past, say, 10 years? And if so, where has most of the change taken place?
That's a good question. Yes, absolutely. The opinion of the plant has changed. I think it's changed with those that are consumers for a long time that see that there's a real industry where you can take your applicable skills and bring them together with cannabis and be a part of the movement, moving the industry forward. And then also from the consumer perspective, right, that there is an opportunity for this to be a medicine legally. And in addition to that, that there are different types of methods. So you don't necessarily have to be a smoker to use cannabis for your ailments, whatever that may be, even for fun. But you have different ways of delivery, which I think really makes it more inviting on a level for that consumerism for adoption, right? So absolutely, and banking, I mean, everything is changing, right? The way we conduct business, the people we're doing business with, the eyes that are looking in the industry of curious of finding their way in. So we still have a lot of work to do, right? And it starts with us having this conversation, right? Continuing to do that work.
Yeah, one of the sayings, or I think I made it up, but maybe I didn't, was it takes a whole green village to raise a child. And this industry really is a child, which kind of leads me to my next question, which is, as you look at what happened on the West Coast with cannabis, what's your thoughts about what may happen on the East Coast? So there's a few states that have adopted it for adult use, but it looks, I mean, New Jersey is now open for applications, New York soon. What's your thought as far as lessons to be learned from the experience of the folks in the West Coast that can it translate to the East Coast?
Oh, that's so much to be learned. First I'll just pause and say, doing events and going to community functions and industry functions on the West Coast, and then having the chance in the last 6 months to hit up a couple on the East Coast. I'm coming to the East Coast next week as well for another event. The conversation is on so different ends of the spectrum. When you're talking to business and industry professionals on the West Coast, the conversation is completely different and it evolved to a next level because they've learned the hard way, right? Through trial and error as a growing industry. Then when you get on the East Coast, there's so much excitement and optimism and hope and visions that are yet to be hit with all the legalization and boards of operation that control things and regulators that change things seemingly on a daily basis when new states come on board. So another problem of being in silos versus being that federally legal industry. So the conversation is fun and it's different. And I think that we actually have that MJ Unpacked in New York. We're going to be in New York City, May 18th, 19th, and 20th. And we're doing an East Coast, West Coast conversation about what does that look like. I think we're going to see West Coast operators, particularly with brands and retailers, going into the East Coast, looking for those that are operators licensed, whether it's New Jersey, New York, Florida, Massachusetts, etc., and creating relationships where they can collaborate so that they can take their marketing, their branding, their SOPs, etc., and be plug and play, which I think is really going to elevate the speed that some of these new operators on the East Coast are going to be able to move, right, and compete against the giants, those large MSOs. But I also think that there's still going to be lessons learned. Because I think a lot of East Coasters, I went to college in Rhode Island. I feel like we can do it better, we can do it different. And so I think there's still going to be a lot of hard lessons learned. But I think, events like MJ Unpacked and conversations like this, you're on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast, is where those synergies start to happen. And people realize that, hey, we can learn from each other. So a lot of those conversations, what did you do and what did you learn from that? And then what can I gain from that and apply it moving forward?
So I want to talk a little bit more about MJ Impact. I will definitely be there. I'll be seeing you in May. Looking forward to that. We're sponsoring the event. And as you know, I'm sending a lot of folks to you because I think that this is going to be an amazing event. But maybe for the folks who are listening, how is that particular event different than, say, the MJ Biz event, the NECAN events, all the different events? What makes MJ Unpacked somewhat unique? I know it is unique, so I'm kind of giving you that easy. Yeah,
I appreciate that. Well, first of all, we're thrilled to have you with us. Exciting to build a partnership with Saks Partners. And we really do look at all of our relationships, whether it's an exhibitor or a sponsor or even our attendees, that this is a partnership for the long run. So MJ Impact is here, and we're here to stay and build the industry and the community as we do it. There's several different differentiators about our event. MJ Unpacked, first and foremost, we're the only event on a national level that's exclusively designed for cannabis THC, consumer packaged good brands. Oh, this is bad. Sorry.
It's okay.
Consumer packaged good brands, retailers, verticals, and accredited investors. So that doesn't exist on a national level. And then we also qualify all of our attendees. So in order for someone to attend our event, they go through a two-step qualification process. They must be a manager or above from a cannabis THC consumer packaged good brand, a retailer, or accredited investor. And when I say retailer, that also means vertical. So what ends up happening is we bring in a really exclusive, very executive community audience of people. And at our last event in Las Vegas, we had over 50% of our attendees were C-level executives. So we like to say that it's quality conversations. That's the feedback we received from our exhibitors, sponsors, and attendees. And there's no tire kickers, right? That's what you get in an MJ Biz and some of the other events. That's can be very Cannabis 101.
Right.
And one of my fellow team members said the other day, we're Cannabis PhD. So
Ooh, I like that.
yeah, everybody's a decision maker. Everybody has purchasing power. Really a unique opportunity to find those partners that you can collaborate with. I think the other piece that I want to point out, the other events in the industry, 98% of them, they are supply side or infrastructure show, which is very important in the ecosystem of our industry. But where do the brands and the retailers have those conversations and the investors? So we've created that umbrella of MJ Unpacked so that we have a home for brands and retailers and investors to work together.
So my follow-up question is, I guess, related to this. If you had that, the magic, you remember the magic 8 ball? Do you remember the magic 8 ball and you shaked it and it gave you the answer? If you had a magic 8 ball and you can actually control the outcome, where do you think MJ Unpacked will be, say, in 3 to 5 years? Oh, again, it's a magic 8 ball, so you can make up whatever you want, right?
Right? I'm shaking the magic 8 ball.
Shake the magic 8 ball.
I am shaking the magic 8 ball. Well, we're going to be growing, right? This year starts that growth. We'll have 2 events this year. So we're in New York in May, and then we'll be in Las Vegas at the MGM in September. So we want excellent. And so we're increasing the number of events we're doing annually. We want to do an East Coast and a West Coast, basically, and I see there'll be growth that comes from that. We're also increasing the number of our qualified attendees and the number of exhibitors and sponsors as we move into each show. So through doing that, we're going to have the opportunity to continue to elevate brands, whether they're startups looking for funding, looking to expand outside of their current state of operation, and those that are the big players in the industry that want to be a guiding light to the other brands and retailers in the industry. And we will be that place that is the it event for brands and retailers on a national level in the cannabis industry. It's exciting. And we'll have partners like you that we stand back shoulder to shoulder and try to take a look at the room and be like, remember when we were shaking the magic 8 ball?
I'm certainly glad to be part of I mean, I wasn't able to make the first event, but I'm glad to make the second one. So, I mean, that's, so if you were to give some advice to folks who are starting out in the cannabis world, plant touching, we'll talk about plant touching. What are 3 things that you would suggest to them in order to at least give them, I guess, a step up to be successful from others who may not be so successful? What are 3 things that you would say to them? I mean, based upon your experience, you've got a lot of different experience. You've seen a lot of things. So what would those 3 things be? But I told you I'm just going to throw questions out at you. So
I know, I love it. I'm gonna get you 3 things. There's so many, right? But I think the first one is to have that strategy and plan of how not only you're going to build your business from that cultivate. There's so much involved, right? Building up the cultivation facilities, getting your plants in the ground, all of that starts before you can even have a brand at retail, right? So best in class products, best in class team, but then what is the vision for your brand? What makes you unique, different? What's your value proposition that's going to allow you to stand out in a product category, in a state of operation, and have a plan for that and execute towards that? And that is going to include trade event marketing, as well as the relationships that you build with those buyers, right, with those retailers. So just because we build it doesn't mean they'll come, right? So the execution of your marketing, your branding strategy, and your sales growth, where is that going to come from? And then I think community.
Mm.
You know, we're still, as we're this blooming industry, we still have that unique community feel. So every opportunity you get to share with like-minded individuals, take those conversations and those opportunities seriously, because that's when you're going to have the chance to learn from those that have been there before and
Right.
done that. And I think that's extremely valuable. And then third, money, right?
Mm.
Building that Rolodex of investors. So even if you don't need them today, more than likely what I've seen is you'll need them in the future, and you'll need them over and over and over again, specifically on the brand side, because they have so many reasons that their hands are tied financially. So having access to those investors is very, very important.
It's very exciting. Yes, money does seem to be an important matter.
Yeah, no matter what the industry, but it seems
No
like it's
matter what
always
it may
right.
be,
You
people
know?
do need money. Well, I mean, that's all good. So Wendy, as I said, I wanted to keep this kind of a tight interview of you. And I think that actually I'm going to be interviewing George in a couple of weeks too. So I'm not going to ask him the same questions, but I think that you've got the point across. And if anyone is interested in sponsoring MJ Pack, MJ Unpacked, we don't even go to MJ Pack and MJ Unpacked, we'll make sure that all the information about you, about MJ Unpacked will be posted on our website and linked to this webinar, and so they'll be able to track you down. And hopefully they'll be able to get in on time. Otherwise, they'll have to wait to Las Vegas, right? That's in September. You might
Yes.
be selling out soon, so
Yeah.
got to push this a little bit. So
Yes. Thank you for that. And you'll love meeting George, or having your audience meet George. I know you had a
yes,
chance.
I love George.
He's phenomenal.
I met
Uh,
George. He is phenomenal. He is an interesting person. I like him.
yeah, we like him. And yeah, perfect. MJUnpack.com is the best way for people to find us. Correct. We're filling up for New York, so sponsorships are about 50% sold through. So don't wait, don't hesitate. And then May 18th through the 20th, and then Las Vegas, September 28th through the 30th. We'll see you there. Thank you, Todd.
Great. So Wendy, I'm going to sign off. Thank you everyone for listening. Wendy, we'll see each other in May. It'll be
Yes,
great in New York City. Okay. Thank you so much. Take
take
care.
care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.